Hello, Texas. 6 years ago, while I was living in Dhaka, Bangladesh, I quickly learned that if you wanted to give cash to the beggars that you saw around you, it was pretty challenging because a lot of that went to corrupt begging rings. I knew that if I wanted to give to the many that surrounded me every day, I would have to get creative. So I started to bring these individually wrapped packets of biscuits. At this main intersection on my way to work every day, I would be swarmed by children in my rickshaw wanting these packets of biscuits. It became a daily ritual for me. This one day, I was giving my last packet of my biscuits to this little boy about this high. As I turned ready to leave, I felt a tugging on my pant leg. I looked down to see him handing me back the packet of biscuits. It's really tough to admit now, but in that moment, I felt angry and appalled. How could this little boy be handing me back the packet of biscuits, the gift that I was giving him out of the goodness of my heart? What, he didn't like that particular flavor? At that moment, he turned to reveal to me that he was missing his other arm. Without two hands, he couldn't open the packet of biscuits, and he needed my help. Had the rickshaw sped off just 5 seconds earlier, I would have left with a bad taste in my mouth, with skepticism, not just for that little boy, but for all beggars. I probably would have used the cliche, beggars can't be choosers, and use that to help me justify my anger. Saddest of all, I would have left wondering whether or not it was worth it to go out of my way to do that good deed every day. The moment still makes me tear up, less for the boy and more for myself. What was wrong with me? Why did I judge this little boy, this innocent boy, so harshly? Why was it that such a small moment had the power to shake up my belief in giving? Fast forward to today, and I've been lucky to spend the past 5 years building a company that matches nonprofits to professionals who want to volunteer their skills. I've literally surrounded myself with the most generous people, thousands of them, and in doing so, I've figured out the answer to my question. While all of our volunteers are amazing, there are a few that really stand out. They're generous not just in their actions, but in their attitude. And because of that, they're exceptionally positive, happy, full of life, and free. So much so that I've spent my time studying them, interviewing them, and to be honest, it's because I want to be more like them. And the thing is that they come from all walks of life. Take my friend Michael Skolnick, for instance. He's a dad in Brooklyn with a kid, and he has a regular job, but every other moment of his life is spent advocating for the marginalized, the underrepresented in this country. In fact, yesterday he told me that he raised $100,000 for this nonprofit that's helping to curb gun violence. So he's exceptional, but he's also a regular guy. And then you have somebody like Steve Case, who I was lucky to interview. And Steve Case, as you may know, is the founder of AOL. He's a billionaire, and by every measure of success, he's completely dominated it. Today, him and his wife, Jean, spend their time, their wealth, and their success helping to make other people's lives better. But on the surface, Michael, this dad in Brooklyn, and Steve Case, this billionaire in DC, have very little in common. However, they share one unmistakable trait, and that is they attribute much of who they are and what they have to luck. And I'm not talking about the type of luck where you randomly bump into somebody at Starbucks and it changes the trajectory of your career. I'm not even talking about the type of luck where you find your soulmate. The type of luck that I'm talking about is so fundamental. It's the hand that you were dealt at birth, the parents you were born to, the place you grew up, the time you were born, that era you were born, your race, your gender, your health, a type of luck that's so basic that we hardly ever think about it, if at all. And that's the first part of the answer. Just think about it. Just reflect on all of the factors that were out of your control that set you up for a successful career, a happy marriage, a good family, because by simply reflecting on that, I bet you your perspective will change. And that's the second part of the answer. When you realize that much of who you are came from luck, well, you also realize that others, the homeless person on the street, the drug addict, the incarcerated, well, they too were dealt a hand that they could not help. And it's when you see that, it's that moment where empathy comes from. It's what Michael and Steve have every day. And for the rest of us, most of us, we have to practice it. So when you're angry or upset because somebody that you bumped into said or did something that came across as mean, cruel, or rude, instead of reacting, pause. Perhaps there were factors that you couldn't see that affected that behavior. And in that pause, that's when you have the power to better empathize with others. Looking back, I realize the day that the little boy handed me that packet of biscuits and I got really angry, I realized what was wrong with me. I lacked perspective and I lacked empathy. But I know that in that moment, if I had gratitude in my heart, I wouldn't have had to see that the little boy was missing his other arm, for me to have sped off in that rickshaw with a smile on my face. So today, I challenge each of you to stop and reflect on your luck, and I hope what that does for you is give you a bit more perspective and open your heart. Thank you.